needed to disconnect for a few days. I'd spent weeks buried in work, pointless meetings, and non-stop notifications. So I booked a remote cabin in Vermont. Rustic, deep in the woods, no neighbors, no cell signal. Exactly what I was looking for. I arrived on a Friday afternoon. The place was quiet and simple, with a clear view of the forest surrounding it. The road there was narrow and winding, mostly dirt. Hard to find, which was a good sign to me. I wanted silence, and I got it. The first couple of nights were peaceful. Light rain on the roof, the smell of wet wood, a good book and nothing else. I slept better than I had in months. But on Sunday night, something changed. The power went out around 10 p.m. Nothing unusual, the place was old, and the weather had been unstable. I lit a few candles, wrapped myself up, and tried to get some sleep. I had to drive home early the next morning. That's when I heard the first sound. Came from outside. A metallic noise, like something lightly tapping on the car's body. I got up and looked out the window, but it was pitch dark. My flashlight was in the car, and there was no way I was stepping outside in the middle of the night to get it. I tried to brush it off and went back to bed, but the noises kept coming. More tapping, then what sounded like scratching, faint, slow, repetitive, right at the driver's side door. I closed the windows, locked the cabin door, and just sat there, waiting for it to stop. Could have been an animal, raccoons maybe, but the rhythm was too deliberate, almost human. At 3 a.m., everything stopped. Absolute silence. And for the first time, I was genuinely afraid to be out there alone. The next morning was cloudy. I packed my things, locked the cabin, and walked to the car. The windshield was covered in dew, but the windows had clear smudge marks. Finger marks, not paw prints. Long, thin fingers from the inside. From the inside, I froze, looked around. No footprints on the damp ground. No sign that anyone had been there. But when I got closer to the driver's side door, I saw it was unlocked. I clearly remembered locking the car on Friday. I opened it carefully. The interior was quiet, normal, except for one thing. On the back seat, there was a folded black cloth with something inside. A strange, uneven shape. I used a stick to open it on the ground. Inside was a small bone, maybe an animal femur with clean-cut marks, and a folded piece of paper, handwritten in rushed, jagged letters. "Don't come back." I stood there, frozen. That cloth wasn't mine. It had been placed there. Someone had been inside the car while I was sleeping. I threw everything far into the woods and got in. The key was still in the glove box where I had left it. I started the engine, backed up, and drove down the dirt road as fast as I could without skidding off. But just before I reached the main road, a figure stepped into view around a curve. I slammed the brakes, nearly losing control. The figure stood in the middle of the road, completely still, wearing what looked like an old, soaked coat, and the face was covered with some kind of cloth, just standing there, motionless. I waited, heart racing, breath caught in my throat, and then the figure slowly stepped off the road and walked back into the woods. I didn't think. I floored it and drove straight to the nearest town. At the police station, I explained everything. They went out to the cabin but found nothing. Said the place was safe, no similar reports on record. When I mentioned the black cloth and the note, the older officer went quiet for a few seconds. Then he said, "Sometimes you're not welcome. Good thing you got the message." I went home. I've never rented an isolated cabin again. I've never stayed anywhere without cell service since. And from that night on, I triple lock my car before bed. But sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I get the feeling someone's sitting in the back seat, waiting. And every time I check the rearview mirror, there's no one there, yet